Hi, Derek Johnson from Tatango.com here. If you've been following the Tatango blog recently, we've been talking a lot about RCS business messaging. Essentially, RCS is a better text message, allows for brands to put buttons in the text message, high definition images, have chat bots. It's a really cool solution. But what people have noticed when we've been talking about RCS is the fact that Apple has not adopted the RCS standard. Android and Google have. Well, that causes a problem, obviously, because if Apple phones can't support RCS, that means that consumers that are using Apple phones won't be able to receive RCS messages. So what's going to happen? And we're getting this question a lot, so I want to do a kind of a quick deep dive into how we're going to react to Tango if Apple does not adopt the RCS standard. So essentially what's going to happen if Apple does not adopt the RCS standard, and again, they have not publicly said either or, that they're going both ways, so we don't know at the time of this filming what's going to happen with Apple. What we do know is Android and Google, they have adopted the standard. So in the United States, let's call it like a 50-50 market share, just for simplistic terms. So 50% of consumers have an Apple device, 50% have an Android device. What's going to happen when a brand has, let's say, 5 million mobile subscribers, and they want to send a promotion or a campaign out to those 5 million subscribers? Well, essentially what they're going to have to do is before they send the message, they're going to have to use a software provider like Tatango, and they're going to have to query the phone operating systems and then the messaging operating systems on their customers' phones. So before you send the 5 million text messages, the software will go out and say, okay, 5 million customers, what phones do you have? And this will be done obviously in the background. The consumer will not be aware that you're querying to figure out kind of what type of phone they have. Then what we'll have to do as a software provider is use that information to send the appropriate type of message to each consumer. So what that means is essentially a brand would have to build 2 mobile messaging experiences if Apple doesn't adopt the RCS standard. So they would have to build the RCS messaging experience, which would be sent out to those customers that have RCS on their phone. Then on the Apple side, those customers that are using the Apple iOS would receive a different experience than the RCS. Now, it might be the same content, but it's going to be structured differently depending on what Apple decides, whether they just stick with the text message or whether they build their own or they integrate. There's so many different variables here, but essentially from a software standpoint, it's going to be really nice for the brand because they just have to build 2 different experiences and then send it off and let the software provider handle which one to send to the appropriate customer. So I don't think it's the end of the world if Apple doesn't adopt the RCS standard. I think it's much better if Apple does, because then there's a unified standard across all wireless carriers and all handsets. I think it's going to be really interesting and really easy also for software providers and brands, because it's just one message sent to everybody and they all have the same standard. They're all receiving the message the same way. So it makes it easy on a consumer standpoint, plus a brand standpoint, plus it makes it easier for software providers. But if Apple decides to go their own way or not adopt RCS, it's not the end of the world, because software providers will just send 2 different types of messages depending on what the consumer's phone is operating on and what messaging system they're on. So I'm not that concerned, but that is a question we're getting a lot, and I will keep you updated here on the Tatango blog if and when Apple decides to either adopt the RCS standard or go their own way.